Bop.
A lot, man, with my dog YAC in the building, man. Appreciate you taking out the time out your business schedule,
Absolutely.
man. I know y'all then started spring, trying to get prepared for this upcoming season, man, to take new heights. Y'all went with 11-3 this year?
Yes.
11-3. So I know y'all trying to be in that 14 playoff next year. And what y'all got coming back, there's no doubt in my mind y'all gonna be in the mix, man. But we like to start our podcast, Coach YAC, talking about your journey, man.
Yes.
I'm always interested to let the viewers and everybody that watch our podcast know about you as a person, not only as a football coach, and how you got started in your career as a football coach.
I think the biggest thing, being a teacher. I started off being a middle school teacher, first at Woodson, Carter G. Woodson Uptown. Then I moved over to the Drives YMCA. I think teaching at the Drives YMCA changed everything for me.
Right.
Had a principal named Ms. Barbara Cook, and she allowed me to have my voice. And that was one of the biggest things that I learned. I was a sixth grade math teacher. After 1 year, I was over the whole sixth grade center, and she helped me with my voice, and I really enjoyed it. Those kids really helped me get to new heights. And I was actually teaching with a guy who I've been going against for a long time. Jabbar Jalouk was actually one of the teachers, and he asked me to get back into coaching because actually I coached previously in 1998 at John F. Kennedy High School, where I went. I coached a kid, Devin Lewis. Everybody called him Cheeky. He wound up going to Southern and wound up playing for the Green Bay Packers. But after, some time, I said, listen, I'm really in school. I want to be a principal. And Jalouk laughed about that to this day. He was like, man, stop acting crazy. Please come help us at Walker. And Frank Wilson was like my little brother. He was the head coach at the time. I got a chance to go to O'Para Walker. And that's when the true addiction started. We signed over 20 kids. And
13 went D1, huh?
Yep, 13 went D1. And I seen with the families how they felt when those kids were going to school for $3.99. That was the hustle, trying to get our kids to school for $3.99. And when that happened, it was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help families and help kids. And we were so loaded that first year. I had Buster, Milk, and Darryl Johnson.
Travis Berry.
Darryl Johnson got to be the best defensive player I've seen.
He was one of the best players I had ever seen till I got to St. Augustine 2009. But I was so crazy that year. Like the kids we had, they had 1,000-yard receivers, 3 of them. Michael Wallace was sitting on the bench.
Right.
That's the crazy part I tell people.
When he was a sophomore that year?
No, he was a junior.
Wow.
Mike was sitting on the bench, and the next year Mike scored over 30 touchdowns. So I realized it definitely wasn't my cone drills. God had called me to do something even bigger, and he was in control of this. And I knew that. And I always promised God that I would never take credit for kids that I coach. And I understood that. And God just kept sending me good players. As long as I was taking care of them, doing the things I needed to do. After that year, actually Frank Wilson left. He became the athletic director over all the Orleans Parish schools. Jalouk, he got the head coaching job at Carl. And I was kind of there, just me and Kyle was on our own kind of coaching the next 2 years, at O'Para Walker. And we had some good runs, continue to have good kids. Keenan Lewis, Michael Wallace, Kendrick Lewis, who was really good. And I left in 2004, it just wasn't a good fit after a while, and I understood that. And most people don't know this. I went and worked at the Hilton Hotel on Padres.
Never knew that.
I was working at the front desk. One of my friends, like my little brother, Donald Dewey, Bookie, got me a job there. I didn't have a job. So I worked at that front desk, and I used to tell people at the front desk all the time, man, I'm going to be a head coach one day. They'll kind of be laughing at me.
Right.
But that was a real turning point for me. I had to work. I had to get some income coming in. And Coach Payne asked me to come to St. Aug in 2005. And I got to St. Aug in 2005 with Coach Payne that summer. It was me and Brantley Williams. We was kind of running the offense. And the year before, we actually played St. Aug in 7-on-7. We must have scored 50 or 60 points in 7-on-7. And Coach Payne said, whatever you were doing then, I need you to bring this to St. Aug. I need you to help us with different things. Right. And that's how it went. And then we were making a really, really good run. we was going to play car in a jamboree, and that's when Hurricane Katrina, that's when it's about to hit, so everybody obviously evacuated.
Yep.
It was me, my wife, family, my son at the time, Karaz, probably like 7-8 months. We actually evacuated to Oxford, Mississippi. It was 27 of us in a 3-bedroom house.
Ooh.
And the part about it that it was humbling that, you know, you're just glad everybody was okay.
Right.
You're watching the news. You're kind of feeling depressed.
During that time, it's just a time of that's an unprecedented time, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of kids won't understand.
Everybody wearing shoes from Walmart at that time.
Yeah.
You weren't worried about your gear. You're just glad everybody was together and everybody was safe. But I got my first college opportunity was coached at Millsaps College. I had a former coach who coached me at Nichols. He was the head coach. And he told me he had a job opening. And I said, listen, is this to be a GA or I'll be your receiver coach? He said, no, Dave, you'll be the receiver coach. So I explained to my wife the opportunity that I had. And from Oxford, Mississippi to Jackson, it's a 2-hour drive. I got in my car 1 o'clock in the morning, said, I'm headed down, coach. He called me an hour into the trip. He said, Dave, I didn't tell you. He said, you didn't tell me what? I only could pay you $500 a month. I said, look, coach, it don't matter.
How do you explain that to your wife?
I'm getting to that. Look, I was on my way down. My wife and my son, they stayed in Oxford with family, so I got everything settled. But the crazy part about it, when I got down there, I had credit cards, I had cash, tried to stay in the hotel. They wouldn't allow me to do it. I slept in my car for like 2 weeks, you know, and my mindset was, guess what? You know, I wasn't home. I was the first person at work. So my wife wondering, like, listen, you can go back, work for FEMA, make this type of money or do this. They're looking for people in New Orleans. I said, nah, that's not it. So my wife was kind of like, I don't know about this $500 a month. But I had to understand that, you know, God didn't give her the vision. He gave it to me. So I had to make it work. And that just was my mindset. Like, you let me in this building, it's over with. And I was able to coach there. After the first year, the school across the street, Belhaven College, they offered me a job because we played Belhaven earlier during the year. They really liked my receiver. So that head coach said, Dave, I got a job. I could pay you $26,500. I said, woo, $26,500? I told him he can keep the nickel. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the one of our defensive coordinator was Mike DeBose, said, Dave, stay, just be patient. And I was like, but coach, I'm only making $500. They paying $20. He said, Dave, be patient. I'm telling you everything. He became the head coach, and he paid everybody.
So he knew something.
He paid everybody like $30,000, and we won the championships for the next 3 years. And my wife actually moved back to New Orleans with my son. I would travel from Jackson, Mississippi to New Orleans 3 times a week. I did that for 3.5 years.
Wow.
Then I started falling asleep on the road going to that 4th year, and I told Coach DeBoer, I said, Coach, I got to go back home. And he said, what do you mean you have to go back home? I said, Coach, I'm falling asleep on the road. I said, I remember Welcome to Macomb, and the next sign I remember was you just got into Hammond. I said, I don't know what happened in between. I'm on all kinds of 5 hours, Red Bull, trying to stay up.
That's over a 20-minute drive.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Trust me. Oh, I know.
So I wound up actually coming home. And when I got home, that's when the St. Aug job opened up. And me and my wife was kind of talking about it. But I never really applied for the job. A lot of people don't know that. My sister had passed, and her funeral was the day everybody interviewed. I got a call that night saying that like 9, 10 people had interviewed for the job, and all of them said they would hire me. 10 out of the 11 people said I'd be the first coach they'll hire. And the other person said they would hire me, I just wasn't going to be the first coach. So I got a call saying why I didn't apply for the job. I said, basically, I just thought y'all wanted somebody from St. Aug, to be honest with you.
Right.
You know, I said, you know, that's just how I was.
Right.
I said, so that, you know, I got a chance to talk to some people. I told them about my vision, told them what I thought about high school sports, how to get them to college. And before I knew it, they said, listen, man, we're going to hire you. And everybody laughed at me. Everybody said, why would you take that job? They only won so many games in the last 5 years. I said, listen.
This ain't all.
I said, but I want to be a head coach. And to me, it was my opportunity. I'm telling you, close friends really laughed at you. But I tell people all the time, when God has something for you,
It's for you.
it is what it is.
It's for you.
For me to get to that job, Tyron Matthews to be a senior, Leonard Fournette to be in the 8th grade, Trey Turner to be in the 10th grade, Lorenzo Dawson to be in the 10th grade, the 9th grade. It was so many kids, and my ball boy was Stanley Morgan. So at the end
And people don't understand that Morgan is a receiver that went to Nebraska who did not play for the Cincinnati Bengals.
and broke all the receiving records at Nebraska.
Yes.
He one of the most disciplined kids I ever coached. Him and Kendrick Lewis remind me of each other. They were just real smart kids, and they never had an excuse. They just wanted to play ball. And I went on with that situation at St. R, which was a true blessing. All those kids were a blessing to me. And then one coach came in the first year. He was his first time coaching at Tulsa University. He was the receiver coach. He came in, asked about my kids. I told him about my kids, told him about all the kids in the city, and we started having a really good relationship. Right. The next year, he invited his coaching staff to come to St. Aug. So they came. Chad Morris was his first year being an OC at Tulsa. They all came to St. Aug. They watched us practice. And that same coach, the receiver coach, said, one day, I'm going to be a head coach. I said, man, I really think you are. I said, I think you're good at what you do. You got a good vibe with the kids, especially in this city.
Right.
And he said, and I'm going to hire you, Dave. I said, I don't want nothing from you. I said, I'm just glad you allow my kids to get to school for free $99 and you recruiting them. And he was like, I don't care what you say, I'm going to hire you. So what happened, I leave the very next year after my 3rd year and I go to Tulane. I really thank CJ for giving me the opportunity at Tulane. And at Tulane, I coached the running backs,
tight ends.
Tight ends. So CJ and I was upset at first. I'm like, man, that's not my thing. But CJ knew what he was doing. He was broadening my horizon. He was preparing me for something different. And he changed.
He wanted to cut the receivers for himself.
Huh? Well, we had a really good receiver coach in Key Williams. And Key Williams would tell me all the time, Doug would say, Dave, man, you going to thank Caesar for this later on. I say, well, whatever. You just don't want me to coach receiver because you want to coach.
Right.
But that was
couldn't see the vision at that time.
Like me and Dub talk all the time. And Dub worked, he assistant receiver coach for the Ravens now. And he said, Dave, he changed it for him. And that's what Cease did. He changed the game for me. I always thanked him for that opportunity. We get fired on a Friday, and I'm all in the building telling everybody, man, be thankful. And I was everybody upset that we getting fired. Everybody down. I said, look, man, I told Cease after that last game, I hugged him, I thanked him for the opportunity. And he said, Dave, if anybody could probably stay, you'd probably be wanting to stay at Tulane. I said, man, I ain't thinking about that. I just want to thank you for the opportunity.
Right.
So I was everybody upset. We get fired on a Friday. The same coach who talked to me in 2009, he got the Memphis job on a Sunday. I was one of the first coaches he hired, me and Dan Lanning.
Wow.
Full circle.
And so my wife, who don't really know a lot about the coaching thing, she was like, babe, I said, babe, listen, we going to Memphis. Babe. They ain't say nothing about you getting fired, just the head coach. I said, no, man, it don't work like that.
Right.
I said, it's everybody. No, I'm telling you, your name wasn't in there. So my wife is real head coach of our family. That's the agent, but I understood, and we got a chance to go to in that December. I went to Memphis. Real, everything was good. Frank Wilson leaves to go to Texas San Antonio in January.
Correct.
I get a call back, and I said, and Mike said, he was like, Dave, I understand. I said, Mike, I'm gonna stay with you. I said, you gave me opportunity when I didn't have one. And Mike and his wife, thank God for Maria, they flew down and spent time with my wife, got her from work. They sat down, had dinner with her to talk about the vision at Memphis.
Wow.
And that's, that was big.
That
was major for me. I mean, and Mike really didn't know me. He only knew coming through.
Right. And passing.
But he always told me the way
talking about Mike
Norvell. He always told me the way I made him feel every time he came in there. I really spent time with him. We started building a really good relationship, and I think that was one of the best things that happened going to Memphis.
You think that